Hello and welcome to Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios here in downtown Colombo. Joining me is the wonderful Bandula Jayasekara, senior journalist and former diplomat. And how are you today?
Good, and it's a new beginning
Indeed.
Tonight, or
Yes.
I would say evening, it's a new beginning for us.
Indeed. And just to remind our viewers that Newsline has a new timing now, Monday to Thursday, live at 8:30 p.m. by popular demand. And repeat telecast is the following day morning at 7 a.m. as usual. Joining us also today is Mr. Asoka Abe Wardner, political analyst. Asoka, how fares the election?
Things are moving and there are certain things happening, but altogether it's very disappointing to the voters who were thinking about the country. So to that extent, I think a lot of voters are still not satisfied.
I'm so sorry, I think I got your name wrong. Abe Gunawardena. Yes. So sorry.
But why is it that it's, like you are saying, it's sad for the voters?
Well, actually now, according to the opinion poll surveys, it's likely that about 3 million who voted during the presidential election is still undecided. Unfortunately, I am falling into that category. Why? Now, for two reasons. Firstly, it's not that critical. The parliament election is not that critical when compared to the presidential election, because either way, whoever wins, for the next 5 years, what will happen is to implement the Maitripalanyak Stavrata manifesto, which was the manifesto of Maitripala Sirisena during the presidential election. So, from the UNP side or the front, their front, they were with them. So with Maitripala Sirisena, so there's no reason for them to deviate from that. Even though they are not specifically mentioned in their manifesto about such initiatives. And on the other hand, now Maitripala Sirisena is the leader or the president of the UPFA. So irrespective of who wins, the situation is that for the next era, it should be Maitripala Sirisena's era. And the second thing, I mean, the four leading groups who are contesting at this election, UPFA, UNP, JVP and TNA, none of them have lived up to their expectations as far as what voters are expecting from them. They have not adequately addressed. That's the main reason for the undecided status.
But Asoka, I'm a bit puzzled, because manifestos have been presented by all the political parties, and you're saying that they're going to implement Maitripala's manifesto. Isn't that contradictory?
Yes. Now, that depends on the system which is there right now in Sri Lanka. Even after the 19th Amendment, the powers, there's a sizable power vested on the president. And what I said was that irrespective of whether it's UNP or UPFA, they were or are in line with what Maitripala Sirisena proposed. That's why during the last 6 months, UPFA cooperated with that process. So now what they should have done, they should have elaborated more how to implement these things and why they failed to do it during the first 6 months. I mean, from the UNP point of view, they should have clearly expressed why they couldn't achieve that and how they are going to do it this time. It's not mentioned. That's a major mistake. And on the other hand, well, they were discussing about the good governance. Still, UNP is just to prove that. I mean, there were certain allegations against certain decisions taken, the central bank governance issue, and on top of that, they have not clearly shown that from their party's point of view, they have not transferred to a democratic process.
But at the risk of sounding boring, the central bank governance issue, as you called it, the president wasn't so forceful. Why is that?
Yes, that's the actually we should understand what democracy is and how that should be implemented. Now, we cannot understand this because the previous presidents, they dictated terms on the others for them to do. Now here, the difference with Maithripala Sirisena is he gives his opinion and allow them to do it.
Has it worked?
Yeah, I mean, that did not work because people are not used to that. The leaders are not used to that. But I am sure that with the time, they will learn what that means. Because he will at some stage clearly highlight these issues. Now.
So you say leaders are not used to it. That means it's really not the masses who are the wild asses, but the politicians who are the wild asses.
That's right. That's true.
Mr. Asoka, how are your efforts at bringing unity with Mahinda Rajapaksa and Maithripala Sirisena?
Well, now after the presidential election, they, for some reason, I mean, they couldn't continue on their own. They had to offer the leadership of the UPFA to Maithripala Sirisena, which should have done by the UNP or the UNP front, because it was their lead. But they did not do that, so they, from the other hand, UPFA did. To that extent, I think that worked. But since then, the developments took the U-turn there. That's the issue. Now, what exactly is the intention of Mahinda Rajapaksa at this stage? He had 2 terms. He tried for the 3rd time, failed. And now why he is contesting for premiership after getting defeated to his own second in command or the second row?
Why is that?
Yes, that's the question we have to ask. Now, I have no clear idea why he is doing that, but one thing is clear: we cannot put the full blame on Mahinda Rajapaksa because his followers were pushing for him to do this. So there's a reason for that. Why Maithripala Sirisena, though he was elected, he was nominated as the president of the UPFA, still he couldn't work against UNP because he had a program with it. So at that stage, as you pointed out, he was not tough enough to control UNP. So there were certain issues, weaknesses that should be addressed, for which Maithripala Sirisena was expecting UPFA to do it. But the core issue of Mahinda Rajapaksa's comeback is mainly there were no leaders for the second in command position. That's the core issue. I mean, that's the sad story.
Asoka, with your permission for us now, okay, you say there were no leaders. They were not trained. They were not, there was no room. People were not given room. That is what happened. You can't say there were no leaders.
But no, the same thing happened during the Chandrika Kumartunga's period as well. But still, she felt that, well, no one is capable of running the country after that. But that's not the case. Because if you give the opportunity, then the leader should come up and face the challenge. Now, Maithripala did that. Maithripala is also one of those things, one of those second in command, second row players. Still, he took the leadership. So similarly, now we have about 4 leaders at the next level. None of them have shown their leadership qualities to take the leadership of UPFA under Maithripala.
Well, I think there's no point talking about President Kumaratunga's record. There's nothing to talk about, really. What do you say? Why did Mahinda Rajapaksa lose?
Well, it's quite clear. As you discuss right now, he did not have the democracy within the party or within the cabinet. So, because of that reason, most of the leaders in the UPFA, they were frustrated. So, we were playing a role there. So, we realized that there's a case. If we can clear the ground and make the platform, definitely one of those will leave UPFA and join this to be the common candidate. So that happened. Now the main reason is now the leader of this particular period, actually it was Ratanathera who was reading this, he clearly stated that don't go for the presidential election, do the reforms and then go, because you have inadequate time. So if Mahinda Rajapaksa realized that he is not going to win, he should have definitely done that. But unfortunately, he did not realize that. So that's why the ground was there for someone to leave and take the leadership of the opposition.
Do you think, Bandara, that Mahinda Rajapaksa lost control of his family as opposed to losing control of his party? And specifically that he lost control of, for example, his son?
Yeah, son, and then also there is the blame is on his brother, who was a almighty, all-powerful minister, Basil Rajapaksa. That,
right.
you know, he was a superior or a super minister, and that he controlled lots of other things. There is, and then I read somewhere that he has taken the responsibility for the defeat, but, you know, the damage was done. So this is what I think, I'm sure Ashoka will correct me, where I think the President Maithripala Sirisena has said that, you know, like he was, you know, as a senior party secretary, he couldn't do anything without the permission of Basil Rajapaksa.
It must have been very horrendous to work under somebody who's apparently hell-bent on accumulating power and more power.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we must learn to let go. We all have a time where a period when we got to go, we have to go. I think that's, nothing is permanent in this world. If we follow that, it's easy for us to live.
But Ashoka, let me put it to you like this. Mahinda Rajapaksa says he's coming back because clearly there is a need for powerful leadership, and he says that nothing in the last 6 months, everything is stopped and so on.
No, actually, the powerful leader is there.
Yeah.
It's Maithripala Sirisena, the president. So what is needed is someone who can assist or to be the second in command. That's the vacant position. I don't think Mahinda Rajapaksa can do that. Definitely. So he should allow, I mean, if he want to lead UPFA to a certain stage, well, he can do that, but he has to clearly state what he is going to do after the elections. If he going to,
He says that. He says he's going to restart all the projects that have been stopped. He's going to
yeah. Now, restarting the projects, it's not the case. As they have stated in their manifesto, they say that, well, they have done certain mistakes.
Yes,
while rushing through these projects, they have made mistakes. They need to rectify before going for the restarting the project. So what they are saying in the manifesto is exactly the opposite what they are speaking in the state.
I don't know whether it's by design or by omission, but you've given me the right moment to say this thing. You just said the mistakes in projects. What about this horrendous mistake that the Prime Minister and his team have made in terms of the roads now? You know,
for us, like, see, these politicians, you know, they make mistakes. Their mistakes are not about 5 rupees, but into billions of rupees and dollars, and they ask for forgiveness. They say, sorry, give us another chance. Is it fair?
It is. I think it's patently unfair, because if the manager of the local bank in Mount Lavinia made a silly mistake, to borrow the words of Field Marshal Fonseca, that poor fellow would have had to go home minus his pension, let alone tail between the legs sort of thing.
Yeah, so that is.
But here we have the bank manager to the country, the governor of the central bank.
You have some nice words. You call the Attorney General in-house lawyer, and now you call the governor of the central bank manager to the country.
This man is a very seasoned banker, or we're led to believe that. I mean, the Prime Minister went shopping all over the world for this man, because 15,044,490 adult Sri Lankans couldn't do the job.
You think they couldn't, or they, you know, I'm sure we have plenty of people, you know, whom you can really look for. There's so much of talent we have.
But let's get back to Mahinda Rajapaksa. He accumulated power. Some say he accumulated wealth, but they haven't proven that. But he accumulated power. We saw that. You worked with him.
Yes.
What was he like to work with?
I mean, I must tell you, like, I didn't get involved in the nitty-gritty, but as an official, it was easy for me to work with him. I must be honest, it was very easy for me to, working with him was easy, but working with the other ministers and others were difficult.
Right.
Because, you know, there were other things within. So this is what I think
How forceful was he?
I mean, I thought what I feel he has to, what he didn't do is to make strong decisions. You know, if somebody was wrong, he should have punished them. And okay, you punish, you rehabilitate them and take them back. But he didn't do that. I think that was his downfall, which he didn't see. So he should have done that.
But his son was able to build a cricket stadium in the middle of nowhere without any contracts, nothing in place.
Yeah, so what is wrong, and then, I mean, that's really what happened. He paid, the verdict was given, like we said, and that's where President Maithripala is the president today. That's the reason.
Do you think, Ashoka, that Mahinda Rajapaksa has learnt his lesson? That people are ready to forgive and to vote him back in?
I don't think right now. It's still open. We have 2 weeks left. He should clearly show that, well, he should accept what the mistakes he has made. Otherwise, he won't be able to qualify even for us to listen to him. So first things, I mean, what exactly is going to do right now? Now, is he going to challenge Maithripala or is he going to work under Maithripala? That he should have. I mean, I cannot understand what exactly his role is.
But for us, it's very interesting. For us now, if you look at, I think we discussed this yesterday. Now, Mahinda Rajapaksa has not criticized President Maithripala Sirisena at all.
That's right.
Even though President Maithripala Sirisena mentioned that, he has been very quiet.
Yeah, the problem is how he is going to work under Maithripala Sirisena. That's the issue.
Politicians are strange bedfellows, right?
Yes, we
No,
have.
that's exactly the point. The floating vote is worried about. Mahinda Rajapaksa cannot attract floating vote unless he is clearly showing that, well, he will play a secondary role. I don't think the way he is speaking right now show that he is ready to play a secondary role.
So what do you think his intentions are then?
Yes, that's the issue. Now, if he believes that he can get 113, well, there's an opportunity for him to challenge Maithripala Sirisena. But it's likely that no one will get a simple majority in the parliament, 113. So in that case, he should understand if he cannot get 113, he will be defeated. He will not get an opportunity to be the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka because the situation, the context will be totally different and he will lose for the second time.
But we have a slight problem, don't we? If you are from the minority communities, you wouldn't be incentivized to vote for Mahinda Rajapaksa or a party that he's in. What do you say about that?
I mean, I think, see, the issues what the minorities had would have been arrested, which were ignored. So that was very sad. That is what happened. And also for us, my personal views, I mean, Ashoka said that, okay, people wanted him, but I always see, we have a term. When we have to go, we got to go. So the way I see it is that, with all respect to Mahinda Rajapaksa, the former president, okay, you have the president, then you come back as a member of parliament. Now when we retire and we go, and okay, but that's not nice. I mean, people may not like what I am saying, but that's the way I see it.
But who is to say that they will not commit the same mistakes?
That's left to be seen, but that's where, like, we masses, the voters, will have to face the music and we will suffer. I mean, who comes, after that, whether it's the good governance of where the present Prime Minister.
Well, it might be an appropriate time to remind our viewers who are watching the best channel there is to watch that at the forthcoming polls you must really vote wisely. Think before you vote and vote for somebody who's committed to you and to our country. Ashoka, Mahinda Rajapaksa, what will he be remembered for?
It's a tricky question. Actually, now that depends on how he behaved during the next 2 weeks and after. So he had an ideal opportunity for allowing someone else to take the leadership, the secondary role of under Maithripala Sirisena and assist UPFA to win the general election. If that happened, then he has done his job. Otherwise, though he managed to do certain things in the past, it will be only in the past. But for future, he will be a total failure because he he will be defeating twice.
That's
shocking.
shocking.
Can I just mention something about this minority community mindset? Actually, it's unlike the president's election. Minority communities have other options right now because they have their minority community representing parties and other stuff. So in this context, it's the minority communities, representatives, the role of there is so crucial. I believe the TNA's role right now, it's negative. I mean, after the war, they should have been proactive and they should be part of the government. Even they could have easily in the government last 6 months and they could have contributed to the whole process. And if the way they have designed it, it's unlikely that they will be joining the government. That will directly lead to unrest in another 10 years' time.
But I think this is a little bit of trying to pass the buck around because it is incumbent upon the major parties to deliver the aspirations of the people in the former conflict areas. They continue to suffer to an extent, and I think it is only fair in terms of real reconciliation to deliver something real, not say, well, you know, the TNA is not doing this and TNA is
no,
not
actually,
doing that.
what I'm saying is prior to the presidential election, it's true. They did not get adequate opportunity for them to directly engage with the process. Now, after the presidential election, they supported Maithripala Sirisena. They could have easily joined the government, and they said that they will be with the executive committee or the other decision-making body. I mean, both JVP and TNA's role is very crucial for the next 10 years. If they are going to be in the opposition, JVP is the same story. Now they have split into 5 groups after the insurrection in 1980s. Because they cannot understand, they should learn how to be with the government. Otherwise, they will not cater to their requirements of their respective communities.
Can we say this? Mahinda Rajapaksa will be remembered for winning the war, for his efforts at infrastructure development, and for the way he left office. Ranil Wickremesinghe, in the last 6 to 7 months, is it? 7 months. What has he done? He's messed up the infrastructure development work. It's come to a virtual standstill. He's got embroiled in himself in various accusations about the highways. Who will the people choose?
But for us, but you're saying, but have we given a proper chance to Ranil Wickremesinghe? We should ask that question. Because first, when he was in Washington, Chandrika took over. I mean, we remember that time. And then when, took over those ministries. And then now we have an election.
He's a rather unfortunate fellow, isn't he?
No,
he's got a
he
record
had the
of
opportunity.
being...
If necessary, he could have run for another year. It was he who rushed to go for the elections. So, I mean, from the Ranil Wickremesinghe's point of view, I don't think he had proved that he is capable of driving the society to good governance.
It appears to me that this election is, in essence, between a battle of 2 losers.
And go beyond that.
And Mahinda Rajapaksa, loser, Ranil Wickremesinghe, loser.
I would say Mahinda Rajapaksa lost to Maithripala Sirisena.
Oh, he's the winner.
Yeah, but so Ranil Wickremesinghe always lost to Mahinda Rajapaksa. So that's really what happened.
But I mean, my understanding is that after the way things are happening,
I think we're running out of time here. Thank you, Ashoka, for joining us, and thank you, Bandula.
Thank you.
Let me leave you with a short saying. It hurts to let go, but sometimes it hurts more to hold on. On that note, I wish you a good day and God bless.